Good evening. Welcome to the December 19th Board of Selectmen's meeting. If you'd please stand and join me in the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So you know the meeting is being audio and video recorded and will be shown on local access television and online. This evening, Selectman Reyes is unable to physically be here due to a medical issue. She is participating remotely through the iPad over in her seat. If anyone has difficulty hearing her, just let me know and I'll try to make accommodations, either repeat back what she says or repeat back to her what you say, if anything's directed towards her. Also, because of the remote participation, we will have to take a roll call vote for each vote. Okay. First on the agenda, we have the West Bridgewater football team. West Bridgewater won the division championship, although they weren't as successful as they hoped with the Super Bowl, but they were still very successful with the South-Sectional championship. I believe 10-2. You went?
Yes.
10-2. Eldon?
Well, I just want to say Bill Panos has done a marvelous job with the football ever since he took over here, and I kind of kept, and I went to quite a few games myself there, and I was kind of surprised that you can get a state championship, you know. But the only thing I suggest, maybe you could get a part-time job with the Patriots, maybe help them out a little bit, you know. No, thank you for your service. You've done a great job.
You're welcome. Yeah, so we'd just like to congratulate you, and if you wanted to say anything and congratulate you and your team.
Just that we had a really good team. They were a tight group. They played well together. And, a lot of intensity and stepped up game after game. We won a lot of games against teams that were a lot, from schools that were a lot bigger than ours. I think we're the smallest team. Smallest team in the smallest public school with a football team in Massachusetts. So, every time we play a game, it's a mismatch. They were all bigger than we are. But we came out ahead quite a bit this year.
Is this the team captain right here?
Matt Cockton, one of the captains, linemen both ways, always on the field, kicking team.
The general slacker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So congratulations to you and your team. And we really just wanted to have you in to recognize all the effort you put in and that your team put in as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have Pepper Dining doing business as Chili's, 726 West Center Street, and they have a change of manager request. David, are there any concerns or issues with this application?
There are not. Everything is in order.
Okay. Did the attorney for the...
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Andrew Upton, representing the licensee. With me is Casey Brennan, a proposed new manager of record. She's a 10-year veteran of Chili's. She was tips trained. She's been here in West Bridgewater since July, and they have chosen to promote her permanently, put her in this slot. She has a lot of experience in the industry, and we're glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Alden, do you have any
Well,
questions?
the only thing, it's going to be basically ran like it has been.
No changes
no
to any
changes in
aspect
that,
of the
yeah.
operation.
Okay.
Denise, did you have any questions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the change of manager request?
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Okay. All in favor? Selectman Murray?
Murray, yes.
Kinahan, yes. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Somerset Running Gun Club. 350 Matfield Street. They're requesting a change of hours.
I would like to put my name in. I'm on the board of director over there as possible conflict. I will not be voting on this or discussing it.
Okay. So you, I believe, are requesting to go from 9 to 12, is that correct?
9 to 12, yeah, to match existing license.
How's it been going so far?
Absolutely fine.
Nothing.
No problem, no issues. You know, we had the 6-month probation that you guys asked for. No incidents, no problems.
Okay.
We're just looking to make it so we can keep it our operations and make life easy for the people that work. He's my bar manager. I am the president. So we have a good handle on things, which is nice.
David, have there been any issues as far as you know?
Issues, no. There's been no issues whatsoever. Overall, everything's gone well. However, I will tell you that in my conversations with the police chief, he has no objections to increasing the hours to a later time. However, he does think that 11 o'clock may be more appropriate because it's in a residential or attached to a residential area.
Okay. Just so you know, we found out earlier that we have an issue with the quorum because Eldon recuses himself and Denise isn't physically here. She doesn't count towards quorum. So I think we're going to have to vote on this next week or next meeting. I'm sorry for that. I wish we knew beforehand, but we just found out today. So it seems like there won't be any issues, though. I mean, last time there were neighbors and everything that came in, but it looks like everyone's
Right.
good.
Yeah, so you're now talking about 11 o'clock. You know, we do, as we typically do, we have a 12 o'clock license, but we typically shut down by, 11:15. Chances are we won't be open that late anyways. But I know there's just a little question of why would we be punished for something we have not done wrong by not extending the hours to full length.
My only response to that is it's just a vote of the board. Everybody's license is at your pleasure. That is a recommendation of the police chief. It certainly doesn't have to be followed by the board. It's your choice. But I wouldn't look at it as punishment. It is you set policy, and again, everybody gets to operate with a liquor license at your pleasure.
Yeah, no, it definitely wouldn't be punishment. I don't know what the desire will be, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, maybe it's an incremental thing if it's 11 for next season, and then no issues, we go up to 12. But again, I'm sorry that you came in tonight and we aren't able to vote. So we will be voting on it at the next meeting. We may, or I think we are going to hold a meeting next Thursday, the 27th. I don't know did David ask you about that yet?
I have not.
No.
Nope.
I haven't discussed it with him.
So we would be looking to meet at 6:15 next Thursday.
Yeah, I figured once we finalized, but at this point it hadn't been finalized. So, but if that's what
Okay.
you're looking to do.
But yeah, so David or Lorna will be in contact. So hopefully next Thursday we'll be meeting and be able to vote.
Appreciate it. Like I said, in a perfect world, I wouldn't exist. So
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Go ahead, Denise.
So I think we're going to need whoever speaks to the audience on the microphone. But my question is, would it be a hardship for the club if it was to 11 p.m. on weekdays and then 12 p.m. on weeknights? And my thought is they're asking for the till 12 p.m. Monday through Sunday because of holidays that may fall during the week. But it is an outdoor area, and 11 o'clock on the weekdays, it's a sensitive neighborhood. That would be one of my concerns. Have they had any complaints whatsoever from the neighbors?
I don't believe they've had any complaints, but if you wanted to speak to the first part, if you'd essentially, how you'd feel about an earlier weekday time.
I can run that by the rest of the board. Again, if you're talking that being, I mean, we shut, at this point, we typically, at 8 o'clock, our bartenders have the right, if there's nobody in there, we shut down. It's pretty rare that we're open that late, so I'm not seeing that there's going to be a huge issue with that. I just need to run that by the board. But, 11 on the weekdays, midnight on the weekends, because as good weather, it's nice. We do have horseshoes, we do have bocce, so it's nice to be able to enjoy the facilities that we have. So, sounds like something I can work with. We can run by the board. I appreciate her bringing that up.
All right, sounds good. So, again, sorry we couldn't vote on it tonight, but
No,
we'll
that's
see
fine.
you next Thursday.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody enjoy the holidays.
You too, thank you.
Neil.
Same for all you.
Okay, we have a number of license renewals. The first one is the Samoset Rod and Gun Club, which again, we won't be able to vote on tonight. We'll be taking that one next Thursday as well. Or whenever the next meeting is, if Thursday works, or if it doesn't, whatever we decide on. But we have a number of entertainment, public amusement, class 1, 2, and 3, garage repairs, a common vic, also pump and jump, and the transfer station. So is there a motion to approve those license renewals as presented?
I have a question, though. There's a license up on Copeland Street. I understand he hasn't applied for it there, and how are we going to do that? He could come in, you know, we still got a week to go here.
I don't know what license you're referring
Up
to.
on Copeland Street,
Almost into Brockton.
Garage repair.
Okay, so that's a renewal, correct?
Correct.
Yep, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you all to take a vote subject to final inspections and final documentations, final documentation by the end of the year. That's the vote we take every year, because every once in a while, one form or another doesn't come in until the very end. So you would take that vote. That would include that Class 2 dealer as well, or garage repair license. And as long as he, she, or them come in with all the documentation before December 31st, your vote is valid and they are legal. If they don't come in by January 1st, then they run the risk that their license is going to be suspended at that point.
What was the deadline to have the paperwork?
For Class 2, I believe it's,
It was December 5th.
okay, so December 5th.
You haven't heard from them at all?
No, and multiple attempts have been made.
Okay, so if we want to just take them subject to final inspection and
In all final documentation.
documentation.
no, that's fine. I'll make a motion to that effect.
Okay. All in favor? Maria?
Where he is.
Race?
Right, yeah.
And Ann, yes. Okay, vote on transfer of common vic license for Dunkin' Donuts, 387 West Center Street. David, did you have?
Just
with this
no,
transfer?
there's no concerns at all. Usually this would be handled as part of a license renewal. They're in the process, though, of transferring the license. So we just, because it will be transferred legally by the end of the year, I thought it was more appropriate for the board to take this vote instead. So everything is in order. Again, I would still do it subject to final inspections and final documentation.
Okay, is there a motion?
Denise, make a motion on this?
Well, I was going to ask a question.
Oh, go ahead, Denise.
Is this a change of ownership or?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the license transfer for 387 West Center Street, Dunkin' Donuts.
And that is subject to
I'll second the motion.
inspections and
Subject to inspection.
documentation. Okay, those in favor, Marrera?
Where he is.
Race? And Ann, yes. Okay. And next we have the vote on the West Bridgewater Country Club sign. How's it going?
How are you?
Good, how are you?
In right hands with beer.
I didn't actually. I thought you were from Dunkin' Donuts at first. And then so how's everything going up there?
Pretty good. Pretty good. You guys have handouts? I know that you get the.
Yeah, I think.
In case you don't, there's the two.
Jason.
That's that administration. So what we did is really kind of just took two simple designs, incorporating the town colors, and showcasing the fact that it's owned now by the town of West Bridgewater and operated by Johnson Golf Management. And want to just present those options to the board and see what opinion they had on
I like them. They look good.
the display.
I don't know. I kind of like the maroon one better, but honestly, I think they both look good. I'd rather leave it up to you and say whichever one out of the two you choose.
So at first glance, the majority opinion of everybody they showed them to, it has been the maroon one. The white one does look nice as well, but the maroon really kind of brings out the really stands out and really kind of showcases the town colors. So that would be our recommendation from Johnson Golf. So if you're happy with the maroon sign, we will proceed with that.
I'm definitely happy with it. It looks great. Yeah, go ahead, Denise.
Mark C.
Sorry, what was that?
Maroon one is the page marked sign concept C.
Correct. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. That's the one I prefer.
All right. Is there a motion to that effect?
Denise?
How do you need to work this motion? Just to accept?
Yeah, and what I would do is I would just say the Board of Selectmen, you choose this one here, so motion to choose concept C with the maroon background and the white lettering for our West Bridgewater Country Club sign.
Okay, motion to accept sign concept C for the West Bridgewater Country Club sign.
Okay. Is there a second? Those in favor? Maria?
Yes.
Race?
Great, yes.
Anahan, yes. Looks great. Thank you.
Excellent, great. So the plan is to get that up by the reopening or grand reopening this spring. I know we are going to actually change the front area a little bit too. We're going to pull out all the old flowers and kind of replant and reseed that area in the front just to kind of give it a nice new fresh look to go along with the sign as well. So
Awesome.
look forward to seeing that as you drive by in the spring.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yeah,
You too. Chris, you're up.
Okay. So we have before the board tonight the complete streets policy. What we did is we got a grant for $38,000. We hired an engineer to help us put this policy together. The policy is part of the complete streets plan. We have two parts, the policy and the plan. This will go into Mass DOT if you acknowledge it tonight to do so, and it will then be graded by Mass DOT, and they'll come back with comments and we'll finalize it. This is a plan for transportation in the town to help with congestion, to help with safety, for biking, for pedestrians. It's to support economic growth. It's been put together by the Complete Streets Committee as well as our engineer, and we feel that it works. It's parts of it have been copied from other towns. This engineer usually gets a grade of a 90 above, and we feel comfortable that this will as well get a high grade. Once this is approved by the state, we are then eligible for up to $400,000 in funding for our sidewalk program that we're putting together.
What do you think the timeline is?
The timeline on this, we have to get this in soon so that we can apply for the first round of money by April 1st. So both the plan and the policy are done. This goes in, they grade it, they send it back to us, and then we'll send in the prioritization plan, which has 30 different projects on it for the next 5 years for the town.
Awesome.
So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. So is there a motion to approve the complete streets policy?
I have a question, Anthony.
Yeah, go ahead, Denise.
Chris, I'm having a little trouble hearing you, so hope you can hear me okay. So this part right here is just the policy. There's no plan in place yet, correct?
That's correct. It's just the policy. The plan will be sent in once the policy is approved. Then the state will request the plan, and that's our 30 different projects that we've earmarked for the town.
Okay. Is there any documentation on what areas or what you're thinking about doing with these funds?
Yes. We have 30 different projects that we narrowed down from a much higher number. The committee voted on and put together, and that would include crosswalks, sidewalks, both reconstruction of old sidewalks, construction of new sidewalks, bike lanes, bike racks, lots of things to try to connect neighborhoods, and as well as to quiet down intersections and improve on intersections in town.
Are you mainly looking at town center?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Are you mainly looking at the town center?
No, it won't be in the town. The town center itself, you mean the downtown?
Yeah, the schools.
Yes, everything is going to be projected from the schools out 1.5 miles to 2 miles. That's the way the program works.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the policy
Okay.
for the Complete Streets program.
Is there a second?
I'd just like to make a comment. This has been a long time coming. I mean, we've had people come in and request, we've formed committees and everything else, so this is really not a new thing. This is something we've been wanting to do for quite a while. I'll second the motion.
Okay, those in favor, Marrero?
Maria, yes.
Race?
Grace, yes.
Kinahan, yes. Okay, Greenman and Penderson? Chris, this is you as
Yep.
well?
We have a contract that we put together for engineering, and this will engineer the construction of the work that we're proposing to the Complete Streets program, as well as a second program that we're now applying for called Safe Routes to School, which we could be eligible between $500,000 and $1 million. And they're going to help us, this engineering firm is going to help us apply for the money and do some engineering to put the application for that in as well. That would be for construction of new sidewalks and reconstruction of old sidewalks in town. Again, starting from the schools and working out.
I have a question. Now, you're going to use this engineer. Is this something that required we go out to a bid, or how do we decide on this engineer? Is it something that has to go out to bid?
It does not. We do not go out to bid for it. We're using the same firm that we've used in the past for related, for the East Center Street project. The person also happens to live in town and is a member of the planning board that is a member of this firm. But we're going to be using the firm, not specifically him. But we're pretty comfortable with him because he already knows the town inside and out, and he's already done work up at the East Center Street. So engineering does not require a bid process.
Okay. Is there, or I think Denise made the motion.
No second.
There's a second. Those in favor?
Maria, yes.
Race?
Well, I made a motion for the policy. I didn't make a motion for the
Oh,
process.
sorry, I thought that might have been the case.
Okay,
So,
all right.
do you want to make a motion for this one?
Separate part. The only question I had, and I didn't want to get into the weeds on it, Chris, was with the contract on the first page, section 2A. It talks about a multiplier. Is that common language for this type of contract?
It is, yes.
And is there a simple one-sentence answer that explains what that is?
The idea is that the multiplier is because you take the labor rate and then you also have to worry about transportation costs and any other related costs. So that's why instead of me having to say, okay, give me a time slot as to how long you drove, where you drove from, how many miles you drove, they just take the base hourly rate times it by a multiplier. And because this firm is located in the North Shore of Boston, that's the going rate, or apparently the assumed going rate on that.
This is standard rate. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the engineering contract with Greenman Henderson Inc.
Eldon, is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
And those in favor, Marrera?
Mary, yes.
Race?
Hayes, yes.
And yes. Okay, and fence at the transfer station, Chris.
Yeah, we've had some requests to move the gate that is at the entrance to the transfer station back down the road, down the access road. And we've agreed that it would make sense to move it down the road 50 feet from where it is now. That would give an opportunity in the morning when the transfer station is waiting to be opened. A lot of people will come before the gates swung open, and it'll give them a chance to get off the road and be pulled down into the access road. This will also, we hope, eliminate people parking on the front lawns of the residents that live down there. And we feel it will also aesthetically look good because we'll get the gate back in off the edge of the road, and when we get it planted and vegetation put in, it'll look a lot nicer, I think. So that's the plan.
I got a question on the gate. Is this going to be the swinging gate, or I know we had a gate that used to slide before, and I've heard a number of complaints about this where the snow builds up behind it, and it's quite a thing when the snow comes up.
A sliding gate, you mean sliding?
Yeah, we had a sliding one on there once, and
That would be even, I think, more difficult, Eldon, because the snow would be behind it, and it would be very hard to shovel out. A swinging gate, we can plow out behind, and it should be able to swing open the way it is now, yeah.
I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah. And I did talk to Sean about that as well, and he said that this seems to work much better the way it is too. So, unless there's, we can come up with another reason, I think that the swing gate would be fine.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Do we need a vote on that, David?
You do not. No, it's within his call. This is really just an FYI to the board.
FYI, okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you, Denise.
We'll get good.
Okay.
All right. Up next, we have what it should be labeled the town administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one item of note. For those who are following along at home, you may, because the most recent agenda that's posted online is 3 pages, please skip to page 3. There was a clerical error, and page 2 is not going to be discussed at tonight's meeting. So on page 3, item C, response to Board of Selectmen open meeting law complaint of November 14th, 2018. In your packet, I have included a response to the complaint. Bottom line is that in my estimation and town council's estimation, there was not a violation. However, the reality is there was no sense in arguing about it. So to cure the issue, as I stated at the last meeting, is to vote on the policy. The intent was to vote on the policy tonight. Unfortunately, due to an error, page 2 was not posted appropriately, so we can't. So at whatever next board meeting we have, you will see that on the agenda, and then you can take that vote appropriately at that point. Obviously, at that point, we will also vote on the policy.
All right. David, before you keep going, so we need to set a date for the next meeting for this purpose, and also for the, Sam has said we need to renew their license before the end of the year. So does next Thursday, the 27th, at 6:15 p.m. work for you, Eldon? Yeah. Denise, are you good with that? And I believe David talked to you about you would be able to make it in?
Yeah, he did talk to me, and I did agree to come in. I do have a serious health illness or a health issue, and I am recovering from surgery, but I will do this because I wouldn't want to see any of our businesses held up because of my issue. It's unfortunate that we don't have another remedy for this in lieu of having a third person there, but in light of the open meeting violations and all of the files, I think it's probably best to go on the side of caution, and I will come in.
We could have it in your living room if you want.
I was going to invite you, but I'm in my pajamas.
Okay, so we'll keep the agenda light. We'll just put on what absolutely needs to be done, and then the rest will, whatever isn't a necessity, will be held off until January. So it sounds like 6:15 next Thursday works for everyone. All right, David,
Okay.
you want to keep going?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, just a couple of FYIs. One is on D, new police cars. I do believe we have a picture. I think the vehicles came out pretty sharp. What you see here, yeah, what we used to do is we would order the vehicles in black and paint part of it white, or we'd order them in white and paint part of it black. And that would always cost us a couple of extra $1,000. Then we went to repurpose the vehicle at the end. We'd have to paint it again, which cost another couple of $1,000. So the chief did a really nice job, and in conversation is that we're going to make them all black going forward. However, to incorporate the town colors to the best of our ability is that we will include striping that is maroon, numbers that are maroon, and those are all easy enough to come off. So at a later date, if we want to repurpose the vehicle, we don't need to have to worry about a body shop. We just simply use a heat dryer to it, and we're able to peel it right off. So the design looks really good. It looks sharp. It's clean. It's contemporary. I thought the chief did a really nice job in picking it out, and I thought that it was important for the board to be aware. Next on the agenda is an update on the auction at 188 Matfield Street. I informed the board last time that we were going to go to auction. We did. There was a handful of people there, including our reporter. She was there. We were all braving the cold. And there were a couple of bidders on it, but ultimately the house sold for $60,000. And that is an as-is sale. That closes. They give us a $10,000 deposit. They're required to pay the balance in full. If not, then they lose the $10,000. If so, then they own the property and title is transferred. So just an update to the board on that. And the last one is that this is really more of a plea to all the residents in town, is that we currently pay approximately $60 per ton for us to be able to bring our trash and our recycling to the end user at ABC. However, they are experiencing an abnormal amount of unacceptable materials, or as they call it, contamination. And it was interesting because this issue was just at 60 Minutes this past Sunday night, if anybody had a chance to watch it. If not, I would encourage you to go to their website to watch it as well, because we are not the only towns facing this. But it used to be that if contamination was in the recycling bin, and when I say that, I mean contamination such as garden hoses. People think that it's because it's plastic or it's rubber, it's recyclable. It's not. Another item is trash bags from plastic trash bags. Plastic trash bags are not recyclable. Pizza boxes, because they are soiled with grease from the food, is not recyclable, even though it's paper and cardboard. So what has happened is that China used to take all of these materials at the same basic cost. They are no longer taking those basic materials. Therefore, the local vendor receiving it does not have somewhere else to finally bring it. As a result, all across the country at this point, they are attempting to try to deal with it, and they are being charged from the end user that they are now sending it to at $225 per ton. I have verified with them that is their cost. They are not marking it up. That is what their cost is. Now, our contract allows for a 10% margin of unacceptable materials, because let's face it, sometimes people make mistakes. So they are only going to charge us for anything above and beyond the 10%, but unfortunately they'll be charging us at $225 per ton as opposed to the existing $60 per ton. So this is a plea to every resident in town. Selectman Marrera, you will remember this, that I have said this for many years. Our transfer station fee is too low, and that falls on deaf ears, and that's okay. But at $85, we are not covering the entire cost of the service at this point, and if we continue to incur these substantial fees, we are even going to continue to lose ground on this. So my hope is that as people read this and watch this, and potentially even watch that 60 Minutes episode, is that they will realize that all of those items that they were disposing of through the recycling bin, that they actually put into the trash bin instead, please.
David, so is this fee actually going to go into effect, the increase?
So January 1st, I have included a letter in here that I sent. I've spoken to legal counsel about it. and I attempted to negotiate with them, but in the end, he said that they were not going to mark up the fee. They had hoped to implement this fee retroactive because we have had some serious contamination issues of which they've been able to document. However, they've agreed not to charge us for that, but January 1st, this fee goes into effect. Now, if we do not want to accept the fee, we do not have to. However, that means that they no longer have to accept our recycling. And since I have nowhere else to bring it, I'm caught. So, unfortunately, we are going to have to pay the fee. And the only thing that I could strongly recommend and suggest is that we're just careful about what we put into the recycling containers.
So how do we get that feedback down? Is it X amount of consecutive months of?
That's the new fee.
Okay. That's the new.
That's the new fee for any contamination in the recycling bin that exceeds 10% of weight.
Can we tell from historical records how much we've been over in the past?
I don't have that information in front of me, but I can tell you that the billing department for the highway department and I have been talking about this issue for the past 6 months, and every single month she continues to get charged for an additional fee. I don't know the exact, I don't know if it was 10% over, 30% over, and I have always pushed back, and now they have given us formal notification, and so I can't answer the question specifically, but unfortunately it's been a trend. I will, however, tell you, in fairness, West Bridgewater is not singled out. I've spoken to my counterparts about this. They've all experienced it as well. Because truthfully, most of us over the last 30 years have been well educated to recycle, recycle, recycle. And quite frankly, at some level, the education was, if you weren't sure, attempt to recycle it anyway. Now, they're telling us just the opposite. If you're not sure, in fact, the new slogan now is, when in doubt, throw it out. That's from Mass DEP. So I can't answer the question specifically, Denise, but I can tell you that we have been in excess of that 10% every single month over the last 6 months, is from my understanding.
So will we be paying the lower rate on the dumpsters that are pulled that don't exceed the weight, or however they measure the contamination?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. So don't ask me exactly how it works, but I can tell you this, is that because of the additional labor costs of separating everything out, is that when it goes into the recycling area, they are going to charge us $225 for every ton over and above. But if it were to be in trash barrels or trash cans, and again, it's glass, for example, or you took your bottles and you threw them in there, you'll still be at the $60 per ton. So I hate to say, well, not only is that accurate, again, I implore people that the 60 Minutes episode was excellent, because you had a recycling advocate that was on there that was saying that unfortunately it's going to force people to recycle less, and she understands why. You know, there is no end user for these recyclable materials at this point.
Is there a informative sheet that maybe can be handed out with the dump transfer station stickers?
Already being done. Yeah, already being done.
Do we get them every year? I know I've seen them in the past.
Yep. So that we have here as part of the packet, we have a handout, and that handout is being, every time that somebody purchases a transfer station sticker now, the town clerk is handing them the information.
Okay. That's everything for the agenda. Denise, did you have anything else?
I was just going to make a comment on the auction on Matfield Street. How much was owed in taxes on that property?
So the primary taxes, I'm going off the top of my head, was somewhere around $100,000 or $106,000. The rest was interest and fees that totaled closer to $200,000. We had hoped with the original, part of our motivation was that we want to collect at least what was the original taxes owed, but the house really was in deplorable condition and shape, and we just couldn't get to that number. So we had a choice at that point. We could have said no to the bid, held on to it longer, and for some reason believed that we were going to get $108,000 at that point, or we could accept the best offer at that point, which is what we did.
And it's still a buildable lot. Even if they tore down that house, it would still be in compliance to build it. I mean, I looked up what it was auctioned for, and I was just surprised considering what it was assessed at.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was on the property, and I'd already done my due diligence on it. It was a half an acre or a third of an acre. But I will tell you that there were some questions on site They were looking for guarantees as to be able to get variances from the town because there are wet areas there. Obviously, there was no way that we were going to be able to provide that. They wanted to be able to, I think we would have received higher bids if they could have wrote contingencies in. You can't do that on an as-is basis as well. So no doubt we probably accepted a little bit lower, but we also accepted a guaranteed bid. And if they can't build or they can't do something with it, and remember, they still have to dispose of the building, which is going to incur costs as well. They're stuck with it, and at least we have some money from the sale at this point.
I just want to say, pretty hard to get a lot for that kind of money in this town, because most of the lots, 100 plus, to get a lot. I know it's on the curve, it probably has. And I used to go over, did business with a guy over there, and I certainly know the house, and I know it needed a lot of work and that kind of stuff. And from what I understand, he had to pay taxes for a few years on it,
Yeah, I did. Look, I mean, we advertised multiple times in the newspaper. We had it posted all around town. I had it on this website. I mean, at this meeting here. The planning board discussed it as well. It was on the front of the doors of every single office in the town hall, and we got a whopping 2 bidders that were there. So if it was worth more, people should have showed up and actually been willing to cut a check.
Eldon, did you have anything else for the board?
I have nothing else.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, was that a second, Eldon?
Second.
All in favor? Marrera?
All right, yes.
Grace?
Yes.
And Kinahan, yes. We're adjourned.